And hello and welcome, and my name is Martin, and today what we're going to be talking about is lighting, or the introduction of lighting in Unreal. The first thing that I'll sort of poke at is that there is actually a light. There's a lot to talk about, so we're going to have to break this up into probably a couple of videos, but we have to start somewhere. So the easiest place to start is over here in the place actors, where you have lights available for you to be able to pick and drop on there. Onto the viewport, and you'll see that you have a directional light, a point light, a spotlight, a rect light, which stands for, I believe, rectangular light, and this is anyways, we'll get to that in a second. And then you have also what's called a skylight. So the directional light and the skylight. The other thing that you also have that's going to give you some type of a feeling, a sensation of light, is going to also be the sun and the environment itself. So if you are creating an exterior environment, you'll have to be able to control the environment itself and the way it looks to the player by obviously lining up, let's say, the shadow of something to the sun, right? So for me, I think it's the easiest thing to do is to start with the big stuff first and then bring it down to what you can do with smaller lighting. So that's why I'm actually starting off in a new level like this. So what we're going to do real quick is we're actually going to set this up so then that way you can see exactly what I'm doing. So there's no questions about where things are coming from and why things are acting that way. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to first person BP. We're going to go to maps. Right here, what I'm going to do is remember that if you create a level here, it's coming in with nothing. So we're going to go to file, new level, and we're going to select the default new level. Okay, so what that does is it sets us up in a world that already has a dome, a sky sphere. We have a directional light. We also have a skylight, and then we have a player. So what I'm going to do real quick is go ahead and set up my board at least the way that I like it. So I'm going to get rid of that player and well, should probably leave the floor so I can place the geometry on there first. Okay. Then let's see, let's make this about 50 because we don't really need it too thick. Let's make it about 1000 by 1000, so we have a floor. And now let's drop it to occupy. Okay, now I can grab, whoop, no, it's still above. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to go to content, first person BP, blueprints, grab the first person player, put them out on the floor, and I might need to make that floor like I think it's 2000 by 2000, but we'll play with that in a second. Anyway, so while he is still, or the first person is still selected, scroll all the way down to the bottom. What we're looking for is in the details panel, input. We need auto receive input to be from player 0. Okay, once we got him out on the floor, I'm gonna make sure he sticks the landing. And if hopefully I didn't, I think I threw away the wrong one. Hold on. Yeah, okay, I threw away the wrong one. Okay, so I'm just going to make this 2000 by 2000. Then I'm going to put my first person player on there. And now I'm going to go down into the details panel and switch that person again to player 0. And the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a box, put that out on the floor, geometry. I'm going to make it that pole that we saw earlier. So I'm going to make this, let's say 500. So it's tall. And let's make it 50 by 50. And this is going to allow us to be able to see where the shadows are going. So that's the only reason I'm sticking that there. So let's add that to the deal. And then the other thing that I'm also going to do is I'm going to change my perspective, which is the first time that we've done it. So I'm going to go from perspective to top down, and I'm going to use the scroll wheel in the middle of my mouse to scroll up and down. So then that way I can actually see the edge of the box there. This is the edge of everything that I've got. The other thing that I want to do now is I want to go ahead and select all these items, and in their location I'm going to go ahead and make this 0 tab 0. Let's grab the person, or our first person player, 0 tab, oops. See, 0 tab 0. Let's grab the column. Again, location, 0 tab 0. And I'm doing this to the XY and to the XY axis, not to the Z axis. I just want things to be perfectly in the middle, so we can't say, well, maybe if this thing was a little bit off to that side, maybe that's why it's doing this. Nope. Everything is smack dab in the middle. Whoops, excuse me. Let me make sure I've got the sky dome. And that is also in the middle. Okay, I think that's everything. All right, so now I'm going to go back to perspective view, and I'm going to see that indeed everything is right on top of each other. So let me grab the person and move them back just a little bit. Okay, and then the other thing I'm going to do is move all of the smaller components. I'll leave that in the middle. I'll leave the sky dome just above it. The atmospheric fog will move up, and then the direct light. So now we have sort of like a totem pole of all the different stuff that's going to be in our scene. Not that it makes a difference really where these things are. I just wanted you to see them all, and if they're in some type of order like this, we can understand where everything is. It's all right there. Sorry, I'm just being nitpicky about them being neat and equal distance. It's a graphic design thing. Anyways, okay, so now I have the environment. I have a floor. Oh, also the other thing that I'm going to do to the floor, I'm going to type in concrete, and I'm going to look for the material. And I like using the concrete tile because I can make a bit grid, and I can sort of see, I can use that to determine where things are lining up. So I'm going to make that 8 by 8, and then I'm just going to get it to where one of these crosshairs go right into the middle. So we'll use the surface properties to more or less okay, there we go. So now when we look at it and we see a shadow being casted, we'll see what direction that is going in. And then I'll just maybe drop that on here just so that it looks nice. We'll do all adjacent surfaces, and we'll drop that on there. Did it not take it? It's fine. We're just trying to make it look pretty. Okay, there we go. So now we're ready to go. All right, so at the moment, we actually don't see a shadow, which is interesting. We do have some lighting effect that's coming in from the area that is where our light, where that light source is coming from. And if we look at the direction of the light itself, this little white arrow is actually the arrow that shows us which direction the light is actually facing. Otherwise we wouldn't know. So if I wanted to do something like this, the light should end up going more directionally and down. If I'm looking at it this way right now, the light's going, shadow would be going in this direction with the rays of the light. But if I rotate it in this direction, you'll see that right now the sun's not following, so we're going to fix that in a moment, but I wanted you to see that the directional light is the one that's most responsible for creating shadows, or like this tile has a reflective surface that is taking photon or light information that's coming from where it thinks the source of the light is, and adding that in. So anyways, so let's make this work a little bit better for us. The first thing that we want to do is we want to grab or click on the sky, and you'll see that if I click on the clouds, I get sky sphere. And in the sky sphere, we'll see that we actually have the sky sphere, the base, and the sky sphere mesh. The sky sphere mesh is actually the sun itself, the material that's being used for that. The base sphere is the actual mesh that's holding, and then this is the material that is placed over it, the information for that. So first thing that we want to do with something like this is we want to see what we can do with like something like sun height. So if I do this slowly, oops. Where's sun height? There we go. Oh, it's because I still have this set to light source. Sorry. Let me clear that. There we go. Okay, so sorry. I'm in another project where I was already messing with stuff. By default, if you opened up a level and you've never done anything, underneath the sky dome, sky sphere self, directional light actor would be set to none. And what that would do is it would allow us to be able to control here on the override settings what we see. So you can see now that I can move the sun up or down in the horizon. And the colors are actually following along quite nicely with that, right? So that's actually coming from this option right here, which is just underneath the light actor. So color determined by sun. So if I do that, all of a sudden now the sun is in the same position, but we're not getting the colorization of the skyline. It's being determined by the override settings, which right now is blue. So that's why we're still seeing a blue sky. But if we switch this back to sun, we see that we start getting a nice fade, and we sort of get like an afternoon sunset kind of deal. Let's bring this all the way down. And when we do that, when we have this at -0, we actually get more or less a night sky. It's still kind of bright. You can see that obviously not everything has moved with it. And so at this point, what we'll do is we will, for the first time, go to build options and build light only. And what should happen now is that it should take into consideration where the sun is. And the reason why I'm doing this on a very base level like this is because I don't want a whole bunch of this to take a long time. So we saw that we got some changes, but not the darkness that we need. We also got a shadow because we rendered the light. So it's still seeing the light coming from that direction over there, even though our sun is actually down there at the bottom. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to connect this to what we're seeing with the shadows. So then that way they both match up. And the way we're going to do this is by, again, selecting the sky sphere and just clicking on in the clouds, and then going to directional light actor and clicking the light source, the one that we have been moving around to get the light to change. So I'm going to do that. So right now we can see that this light is pointing in this direction where the shadow's coming from, and now all of a sudden the sun matches up with that. So the reason why this is happening is because we're telling the sky dome, the sky sphere, to listen to this light, and whatever angle that light is in, have the sun follow it, right? So now what we're going to do is let's rotate this a little bit. Let's make it go, I don't know, 40 degrees this way. We can see that the material on the concrete has followed, but the sun is actually still over there. Now what you'll have to do to get that to pop in and be going in the right direction, now facing, I assume it's north, what we need to do is build the lights again. So we're going to go to build options, build light only. Now if you have a really big level, this is going to keep taking it's going to take way more time. So you sort of want to figure out what you want to do with your sun before you really start doing a lot to the level. Okay, so we're still waiting. There it is. So now again the light is matching our shadow. Okay, All we've done so far is rotate it left to right. Let's rotate it down a little bit, so it'll feel like the sun is lower in the horizon. We'll do this one more time. We'll go to Build Options, Build Lighting Only. Okay, very cool. And that shadow should be popping in as soon as the light builds. Any second. There it is. Okay, so the reason why the atmosphere is changing again is because we have colors determined by sun's location or sun's position. So the sky is reacting to this. It is following our direct light, and it's doing that because underneath direct light actor it says light source. So let's push this even further down. So let's make it below the horizon, right? So I'm going to go back to the light source, and let's have that push this direction. You'll see that we are now getting the shadows coming from a different direction. Let's go to Build Options, Build Lighting Only. Okay, whoa, it's still sort of on the horizon. We haven't quite gotten all the way down yet. I'm going to wait for my lighting to finish building. Okay, so let's push it way down there. Let's do another build. Okay, well, we're going to wait. Okay, so you'll see that I'm not getting any shadows anymore. Theoretically, the light should be all the way down. It's all the way below the horizon line. We are still having to deal with some of the light from out there. Okay, so what basically happened there is that I removed what was called the skylight, and the skylight is actually the light that's used to reflect light back down onto the surface. So if I, let's say, do an undo, maybe it'll let me do that. If not, I'll have to just go grab another skylight. So we'll go to Lights, Skylight, put that back out on the floor. And you'll see now that I'm getting light back on the surface. You can change some information as far as what color that light source is. So right now we're getting sort of, well, again, probably right now it's being over, no, it's probably not being overrid. Let's go to light color, and let's see if we can change the light color a little bit. There we go. So you can use the dome light or the skylight. This is more or less the reflective light that would be going back and hitting an object. And there is a way for you to go and change the color for that. Okay. So now at this point we sort of have to sell the rest of the effect by actually getting rid of the color up here. So at this point, actually, what I'm going to do is tell it not to listen to where the sun's position is. So the sun's still down there below the horizon line. Our sky dome is giving us sort of like a blue deal. And up here, we're actually getting this blue color. And that blue color is coming from this color right here. If I go to the zenith settings, and I believe it's, I forget how to get this all the way to black. All right, so now we have a black sky. At least the top of the sky is black. What I had to do was basically type in 0, 0, 0 for each one of the colors so that we're not getting any of those colors. And then the last thing is that, well, we still have this weird horizon, right? So we actually have to go through all of these and start dropping them That might be a little bit too dark. Let's go back to this and maybe put a... The other thing you could also do is something like this. And this is probably an easier way to do it. Because you can actually see the colors. So you can sit there and you can play around with the numbers, or you should be able to double click on the icon for the color right there, and then that'll pick up the color picker. So we've got the horizon color now. Let's go into the color of the clouds. Right now they're a little bit too white. Let's put a little bit more contrast into them. Let's make them darker clouds. Okay, that's pretty good. And the last thing we got is the overall color. And let's drop this again to... Can't be absolutely dark. Okay. Now the other thing we can also do is we can make the horizon move up or down. Okay, so we can tell it about how much... Oops, not the sun's height, the horizon. Okay. Now one of the other cool things that we will have is we will also have star brightness. So we can start bringing some of those stars out. Probably need to... There they are. Okay, so very cool. So now we have a completely night sky-ish type deal. If we were to push play... Oh, I guess I don't have any controllers set up with that first-person player. Oh, I'll fix that later. We have a very convincing night sky now. Now, the cool thing about this is that now... Well, let's go ahead and hit escape. Okay, so basically what we've seen now is how we can control the environments, coloring and dealing with color, as far as where we want to put the sun, how it's going to affect shadows, how the sun and the direct light are linked, what the skylight does as far as putting information back and having something reflect back onto that surface and being able to change its color. So if you had a moonlit night, right, this would be like a bluer color and such. What else? And also how to bring the stars out. There is information here with the stars that you can play around with. Let's see. Star settings. I probably have to be in the night sky. Star brightness. You can play, other things that we really didn't talk about. You can increase the number of clouds. We probably have those clouds really, really dark. Let's make them a little bit. There we go. Again, you know, maybe you're on a foreign planet that has a weird atmosphere, or you're on Mars, right? So we'll, let's say, drop the, what is it? There's the reds. There's the reds. Drop some of that. Ooh, spooky sky, right? So anyways, so yeah, lots of stuff that you can do and play around with there, but that's the main connection between the directional light, the sky, and how that's going to interact with things on our meshes that can cast shadows within the environment. So what we'll do next is we'll take it a step in. We'll go back to the level that we have the house in, and we'll start making the environment look like a night sky, and then we'll start with actually inserting lights to make it look like a convincing night scene. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and have a wonderful day.